Hey everyone, welcome to Fandom Media, where we discuss everything from our favorite fandoms. In this video, we're going to be breaking down episode 8 of WandaVision. This episode was an absolute masterpiece, featuring some of the best visuals I've ever seen in a TV show, let alone a big budget movie. And this has got to be one of the best pieces of content that Marvel has ever produced. Let's be honest though, how do you not give Elizabeth Olsen an Emmy after this episode? Her performances have been out of this world, and if she doesn't get the nomination, I say we all riot. So let's get hype and let's jump into the video. Episode 8 of WandaVision, titled Previously On, chose to give us the flashback treatment instead of ramping up the intensity before the final episode. I love how instead it shifted away from its formula based around archetypes and styles of American sitcoms Wanda grew up loving in Sokovia by showing us impactful flashbacks from Wanda's devastating life. We discussed the possibility that we could be getting an Agatha flashback in episode 8, considering episode 7 revealed that it was Agatha all along. The episode starts off with a cold open into Agatha's history as a witch in Salem. Agatha was involved in the Salem witch trials in the comics as well, but in a different role, as she was the one persecuting the other witches. The MCU has been known to switch things up a little, as it has with Wanda's origin story, which we'll be talking about later in the video, but the MCU version of Agatha's backstory tells us that she sought out dark magic, which is why they're trying to kill her. Agatha's mother and her coven join in on the attempt to kill her daughter, which is one of my absolute favorite scenes from this episode. Unfortunately though, Agatha's magic is way too powerful for the other witches, as we see her kill them and drain their magic. However, we do get to see a cool Easter egg here though, as her mother manifests a crown of blue magic, which seems very similar to her comic book version. Agatha's mother was a sorceress named Zered from Atlantis during the pre-cataclysmic age who prophesied the fall of Atlantis. During this period, there was a huge conflict between the Elder Gods, including the author of the Darkhold, Chthon, who may have been the one to grant Agatha her magic. Wanda can't enter Agatha's mind because of the ruins in the basement, which could be Atlantean, I'm not sure. They light up in the purple hue of Agatha's magic, so my guess is they are more likely associated with the Dark Realm and possibly Chthon, but it's clear that Agatha is extremely powerful, which means we could see the appearance of someone like Doctor Strange, who may know how to deal with her magic unlike Wanda. It's unclear if Doctor Strange will show up in the finale of WandaVision, but we do know that Wanda will be in the Multiverse of Madness, so there's a strong possibility that he shows up because of the Hex and because Agatha stole the Darkhold, which was being protected as part of the Ancient Ones collection. After learning more about Agatha's backstory, we slip from the old world to the new one as Agatha leads us through all of Wanda's tragedies and how all this started. This episode adds so much depth to Wanda's character. That's part of the beauty of the show, giving the space for not only Wanda to grow as a character, but giving her story new dimensions that help the audience empathize with her journey. Through doorway number 1 is Sokovia, the beginning of Wanda's story, and we see that Wanda and Pietro are children spending the evening with their parents watching their favorite sitcoms. It's here that we find the connection to all the sitcom influences that we see throughout the episodes of WandaVision. We see that her father collected copies of I Love Lucy, Bewitched, Malcolm in the Middle, one of my personal favorites, Who's the Boss, The Addams Family, and her favorite, The Dick Van Dyke Show. We finally get to see a beautiful moment with Wanda's parents that brought her happiness. However, it's also connected to the moment that causes her the most pain and grief when the Stark missile hit their apartment, killing them. We already knew this, but we find out an absolutely massive revelation that completely changes her origin story. It appears that Scarlet Witch's origin story has been retconned to better align with the comics. As Agatha makes Wanda revisit her greatest tragedy of her life, she tells Wanda that the reason the bomb didn't go off is because Wanda wove a probability hex over it, making it not explode. In the comics, the probability hexes were the first manifestation of Scarlet Witch's ultra-powerful abilities. So it looks like Wanda was a witch from a very young age now as well in the MCU. As Agatha continues to play the antagonist, we're led to see what's behind door number 2 as we're guided to the memory of when Hydra experimented on Wanda with the Mind Stone. We know Wanda went to Hydra because she wanted to change the world along with Pietro, but maybe Hydra knows something about Sokovia that we don't. We learned that none of the other test subjects survived the exposure to the Infinity Stones, but Wanda does because of her witch powers. Pietro also survives and goes on to become Quicksilver, which fits with a theory that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later in this video. But this scene was one of my favorites of the episode, as we get to see Wanda peer in her future and see her iconic Scarlet Witch costume. We see that Wanda will adorn her iconic crown from the comics, much like the one we saw from Agatha's mother earlier on in the episode. Door number 3 leads us to the aftermath of Age of Ultron, as we see Wanda and Vision watching Malcolm in the Middle at the Avengers facility in a touching, intimate moment. I really love how they chose to focus on one of Wanda's fond memories with Vision, showing that their love was real, just like Darcy suggested in episode 7. It's one of my favorite scenes in the show so far, which makes everything we've seen even more heartbreaking, considering it's likely that she will lose Vision all over again in the finale. It turns out that Wanda actually visited the facility where Vision's corpse was being held, and Hayward lied that Wanda stole Vision's body. Big surprise there, right? Honestly, this was another scene that really made me tear up, as we had to watch Wanda say, "I can't feel you anymore," as opposed to the "I can feel you," which was one of my favorite moments with Wanda and Vision. And this is why we see her leave S.W.O.R.D. without Vision's body and go into Westview and unleash her chaos magic to create the Hex. Before she creates the Hex, we get to see her go through Westview after visiting Vision's body, and we see some of the people around town who are IDs on Jimmy Woo's whiteboard. We see the mailman, and we see a few other people that we connected with in WandaVision. However, we did not see Dottie Jones, who could be another witch and member of the Squadron Supreme named Arcana. We saw Agatha reference Wanda's red magic as chaos magic, and Agatha's purple magic is more associated with dark magic from the Dark Realm, so perhaps her magic is more associated with the yellow magic of the people who trained with the Ancient One. There's a pretty cool theory out there about how the different flowers of Westview are foreshadowing each of the different witches' magical abilities, and Dottie can be seen here with yellow flowers, so maybe Doctor Strange sent Arcana to limit some of what's happening within Westview. Unfortunately though, we find out why Westview is the victim of Wanda's chaos magic, as it turns out that Vision had a plot of land where he was going to build a house for himself and Wanda so they could grow old together. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how many of you teared up at this moment, but I was cutting onions for sure. It was one of the, I think, saddest moments in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, and it really just broke my heart to see Wanda like this. Through the fourth and final door, we're led to a stage where Wanda is sitting and where Agatha claps for Wanda, thanking her for showing her everything she needed to know about her past. We see Agatha snap her fingers and disappear, and then we hear the screams of Billy and Tommy, who are being held captive by Agatha. It turns out that Agatha didn't eat them, and it's interesting because this scene reminds me of a storyline from the comics where Mephisto reabsorbs Billy and Tommy, or shards of his soul, through Master Pandemonium. We discussed the possibility in a few different videos that Agatha could be working for Mephisto, and he could be the one corrupting her with dark magic like Agatha's mother stated previously in the episode. I still think that it's a small possibility, considering we see him here in the Loki trailer in this shot, and that we're getting some of the influences from the House of M storyline. We haven't met her husband Ralph yet, who will be more than likely making an appearance in the finale and could be the person that taught Agatha her dark magic. But it's looking more and more likely like she's working with the Dark Elder God Chthon, who is a Lovecraftian type of villain from the comics with connections to the Darkhold, which we saw in her basement. Since Marvel is retconning Scarlet Witch's origin stories to her actually being a witch and not just someone who is subjected to the magic of the Mind Stone, we could see them showcase this and her comic story origin in the finale. In the comics, both her and Pietro lived on Wundagore Mountain in Transia, located in Eastern Europe. In Earth's early years, Chthon wrote the Darkhold in the Darkhold, a cavern deep within Wundagore Mountain. Interestingly enough, it so happens that in the comics, one of his minions, Mordred, lures Quicksilver to the Darkhold so that Chthon can possess him. Quicksilver could be possessed by Chthon in WandaVision, as he does antagonize her quite a few different times. But as we saw in the last episode, it's revealed that it was Agatha controlling him. So we could see a similar type of scenario in this situation, but Marvel likes to switch things up, so it's possible that this isn't the case. We get another banger of a post-credit scene in episode 8, where we find out what Hayward's true plan is to rebuild Vision as S.W.O.R.D's personal sentient weapon. Not only is Hayward a massive piece of shit, but he's also broken Sokovia Accords and violated Vision's will. It makes sense that this is Project Cataract because it links to the Vision Quest storyline, where Vision is revived in the comics in the gray form we see him in the show. Unfortunately, I think Wanda may have to kill Vision again, or the Vision that Wanda created within the Hex from her abilities may have to kill him instead. Either way, it's going to be an absolutely epic finale. I think Doctor Strange will show up. I'm not sure if it's going to be 90 minutes or longer like these leaks are suggesting, but if it is, hey, I'm crossing my fingers, everyone. I really hope it's 90 minutes or longer. Maybe we do get a WandaVision movie finale. That would be really cool. But what did you think? Did you enjoy how they showed Agatha's backstories to start off the episode? Do you like Scarlet Witch's new origin story? Let me know what your favorite moments were from the episode and what theories you have for the finale in the comment section. I will have more videos focusing on what we saw in episode 8, including a video focused on Chthon and the Darkhold. I'm going to do a video on the Vision Quest arc and the Grey Vision we see in this episode, and I'm going to do one on Dottie, who could be playing the role of the witch from the comics named Arcana. Let me know what theory, character, or subject you would like me to cover in a future video in the comment section if you want to see it on the channel. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos on the channel. Have a marvelous day, everyone. I'll see you all in the next video.